The year is 3045, and the Milky Way is now a bustling intergalactic neighborhood where multiple species coexist across star systems. Mankind, though late to cosmic exploration, has established a presence among diverse civilizations, both peaceful and predatory. Trade, diplomacy, and military alliances have brought a strange unity to this galaxy, although many species remain wary of one another. Station Outpost 429 floats on the edge of an uncharted nebula, isolated and far from the heavily trafficked star routes. The outpost is a cold, metallic behemoth, illuminated by flickering lights and backlit by the vivid colors of the nebula, a swirling mass of violet, teal, and orange. The vast, uncharted expanse nearby contains unknown dangers, including parasitic entities, violent solar storms, and rogue asteroids. Inside the outpost, the corridors are narrow and dimly lit, lined with metal panels and echoing with the hum of life support systems. Viewports occasionally reveal a glimpse of the nebula, its colors casting an eerie, almost mystical glow onto the cold metal walls. Only the most resilient or desperate life forms make it this far out, which adds an edge of mystery and tension to the space. Mazonians, delicate beings with translucent, leaf-like skin and vines coiled around their limbs, serve in various roles across the outpost, tending to the organic life systems and maintaining station infrastructure. Their herbivorous nature makes them naturally vulnerable to the predatory species that lurk in the galaxy. Here, Mazonians like Zinara keep mostly to themselves, far from where humans or other powerful creatures pass by. Rumors have spread among the Mazonians about humans, bipedal, carnivorous, aggressive, with a reputation for being insatiable in their quest for territory and resources. Tales of their relentless hunger and rumored carnivorous diets circulate among the other species, casting humans in an intimidating, almost villainous light. When a human arrives on Station Outpost 429, tension runs high. It's a rare occurrence, as humans are seldom stationed this far out without a specific purpose. The human's armored presence sends an almost immediate wave of unease across the station, particularly among the Mazonians, whose plant-like forms shudder at the stories they've heard about human appetites. Zinara, a Mazonian from the lush, verdant planet of Mazon. Zinara is part of a species evolved for survival through photosynthesis. Her skin is a shade of translucent green, thin and leaf-like, and her limbs are adorned with delicate vines that serve as both sensory extensions and camouflage in her home world's dense jungles. Mazonian culture is highly communal, and Zinara has a deep bond with her kin, accustomed to working together in harmony. Her race is herbivorous, thriving in sunlight and sensitive to dark, metallic environments like the outpost. She's nervous, even fragile, in the face of unknown threats and, due to the rumors, harbors a deep-seated fear of humans and their carnivorous ways. Nonetheless, Zinara is diligent and curious, often working late in the outpost analysis chambers, scanning nebulaic data to understand the environment surrounding them. Although easily frightened, she's not without bravery and possesses a quiet resilience that she herself doesn't fully recognize. The human known simply as the human to most on Station Outpost 429, he goes by the name of Cole Renard, a seasoned security operative from Earth. Standing tall with a sturdy, muscular build, he's clad in reinforced armor designed to protect against a range of extraterrestrial threats. His eyes carry the weight of past encounters, and his expression is often steely, guarded, projecting an intimidating presence. Though his silence and mysterious past make him seem aloof, he has a deeply ingrained sense of duty and an instinct to protect. Humans like Cole are rare this far out on the galactic fringe, and his presence is a constant reminder of humanity's reputation for ferocity. He's keenly aware of the rumors that paint his people as ruthless, but he's also experienced the hazards of space travel and understands the need for both diplomacy and strength. To Mazonians, humans are little more than a terrifying myth brought to life. Known for their delicate and communal nature, Mazonians view survival as a cooperative venture, often working together to gather sunlight and maintain their planet's ecological balance. Their culture places harmony with nature above all else, and the concept of predation is foreign, even unsettling. Stories of humans spread through Mazonian communities with growing alarm as word of interspecies interactions travels, each tale more unnerving than the last. For the Mazonians, humans are seen as relentless predators who live by consumption, not just of plant life, but of nearly everything in their path. Many Mazonians imagine humans as perpetually hungry beings, with tales depicting them as dark figures with an insatiable urge to consume. Though the Mazonians know only fragments of human biology, these fragments add to their unease. Hearts pumping red blood, skeletal structures built for speed and aggression, and bodies that require dense, caloric nutrition. Even more disturbing to them is the human's instinctive need to hunt for survival, which contrasts starkly with Mazonian society's peaceful, sun-soaked existence. The few Mazonians who have seen humans report back with tales of sharp teeth, dense musculature, and eyes that seem to analyze everything in sight, feeding rumors that humans are calculating and formidable. Among the Mazonians on the outpost, this fear has deepened, with rumors circulating about human explorers who consume the very planets they settle, stripping resources and bending nature to their will. When a human arrives at the outpost, the Mazonians feel a mixture of dread and helplessness. Though humans are technically allies in the galactic community, their reputation is enough to create a divide. Even if some Mazonians are curious, the stories they've heard have established a deep-seated caution, if not outright fear, and a reluctance to get close. It was late in the artificial cycle aboard Station Outpost 429, and most of the crew had already retired to their quarters. The station was quiet, save for the soft hum of machinery and the flickering lights overhead. Zinara worked alone in the analysis chamber, monitoring data from the nearby nebula. Bathed in the glow of her holographic displays, she felt the comforting rhythm of the station, the steady pulse of life support, and the faint warmth of distant stars reflecting through her skin. But that night, something felt different, as if a chill had settled over the outpost. She hadn't noticed the shadowy figure that appeared just outside the doorway until it was almost too late. Turning, she froze as she met the gaze of the human. She recognized him immediately. Cole Renard, the security operative recently stationed on the outpost. His towering form filled the doorway, his armor reflecting the dim lights with an imposing gleam. His eyes, a piercing steel gray, were locked on her with an intensity that made her heart race. For a split second, Zinara felt completely vulnerable, every rumor she'd ever heard about humans rushing to the forefront of her mind. Her fingers gripped the edges of her tablet, her vines coiling tighter around her arms in instinctive defense. She wanted to back away, but the room was small, and her path to escape was blocked. Cole took a step forward, his expression unreadable, his footsteps heavy against the metal floor. Zinara's breath caught, her entire body stiffening as he drew closer. Are you here too? She stammered, the words tangled in her throat. Her mind filled with fragmented images. Carnivorous teeth, skeletal structures built for power, eyes that seemed to analyze everything in sight. She felt like prey, helpless before the apex predator she had feared for so long. Cole paused, his eyes flicking around the room. His posture shifted slightly, and in a deep, gruff voice, he interrupted her thoughts. "Look out!" he shouted, his voice sharp, commanding. Before she could process the words, he lunged past her shoulder, reaching toward the wall beside her. In a flash, Cole's armored hand collided with the wall just above Zinara's shoulder, shattering a small, writhing creature that had been crawling toward her. Zinara watched, stunned, as the creature's purple, acidic ooze splattered across the metal surface, sizzling and leaving behind a faint, acrid smoke. Cole pulled back, his fingers slightly singed from the brief contact, but his expression was calm, almost as if this encounter were routine. Zinara stood frozen, still processing what had just happened. Her heart pounded in her chest, but now, the terror of the human's approach began to dissolve into confusion. She glanced at the remains of the parasite, its bizarre form twisted and still. These creatures were dangerous, especially to Mazonians. Known as energy parasites, they had a particular attraction to Mazonian physiology, homing in on their delicate vine-like systems to drain their energy reserves. An encounter like this would have left Zinara weak or worse, and they were known to multiply in dark, isolated corners of the station. Cole shifted his stance, examining his hand before turning to face her. His gaze was no longer as intimidating as she remembered. Instead, it held a quiet but firm concern. She noticed that his eyes softened ever so slightly, and he didn't seem at all like the predatory creature she'd imagined. He wasn't here to consume her. In fact, he had saved her life, stopping the parasite before it could latch onto her. "That thing goes after your kind," he explained, his voice gruff yet calm, as though he knew she didn't yet fully understand. As the shock of the incident settled, Zinara felt an unexpected warmth blossom where fear had been. The human who had loomed so menacingly in her mind had just risked his own safety to protect her. She glanced up at him, studying his face more closely now, noting the lines of focus and resolve rather than the predatory sharpness she had imagined. He'd been focused solely on her safety, not on anything she had feared. In the days that followed, Zinara couldn't shake this new perception of humans. She observed Cole from a distance as he moved about the outpost, noting his silent but watchful nature, the way he assessed each situation as though he were responsible for everyone's safety, regardless of species. He didn't seem the cold, hungry predator her people's tales had painted him to be. Rather, he embodied a kind of vigilant strength, a quiet sense of duty that contrasted with the chaos of the outpost and the unknown threats they faced. Zinara began to see herself, too, in a different light. Before, she had always kept to her own, working quietly, blending into the shadows, and relying on the familiarity of her kind to feel safe. But something about this new revelation stirred an unexpected courage within her, a realization that perhaps her fears had been a barrier, not a shield. She found herself inspired by the human's resilience and his willingness to confront danger without hesitation. For the first time, she began to look beyond her own preconceptions and the boundaries that her people had created to protect themselves. Gradually, Zinara's curiosity won over her fear, and she found herself stepping out of the confines of her routine, occasionally assisting Cole in his rounds and exchanging brief words. Their interactions remained largely unspoken, marked by nods or silent gestures. But in that silence, an understanding grew. She began to feel a trust she hadn't thought possible, and through it, a confidence in her own ability to face the unknown. Other Mazonians noticed the change as well, their curiosity piqued by Zinara's growing rapport with the human. For the first time, her people began to question the tales that had so long defined their views on humans, wondering if perhaps they, too, had misunderstood.